So we've been working on business checks and deposit slips, and along with them goes what is called a check register. Now, when you open a checking account, you will get a little book that goes along with it with your checks, and it will have something that looks very similar to this, which is called a check register. Okay, a lot of people don't keep their check registers up to date, or they'll do them online, which is what we're going to go over right now. But it's super important that you do maintain your check register so that you know at any time how much money is in your account. So in the world of accounting, the check register is a lot like the ledger, okay? The cash ledger, where you list all the transactions that involve cash, so cash coming in, cash going out. But this is done a little differently because when you do a check register, debit and credit mean the opposite of what they do in the world of accounting, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at how this is done. So your starting balance was $0. So you made a deposit of $750 on November 20th deposit slip. So what we'll do is we'll go here and in the date column, we will put 11, 20, and again, we'll do 19. Transaction description, there's no really right or wrong here. This is just for your records or for the company's records to know. So I'm going to go ahead and put deposit. And now we have a choice to put either a debit or a credit. Now, when we talk about the checking account and we're creating the check register, a debit in the check register is actually going to be a decrease. Okay, now when we think about journal entries, right, a debit is an increase. But in the check register, the debit is a decrease. And you'll notice it has a little minus sign up there. Okay, and then a credit, which has the plus sign for you, is an increase. It's a credit to your account. Okay, it's an increase to your account. If you think like, if you went and bought something at a store and you returned it and you got store credit, that's how the credit works in or on the check register. Okay, this reference column is what you use at the end of the month when you balance your check month. You balance your checkbook to make sure what you say you have matches what the bank has. And that's when you would go through and you would check everything off that, okay, the deposit does appear on my bank statement. Okay, the bill that I paid does appear on my bank statement, and you check them off. And that's how you find out if something is outstanding or missing. Okay? All right, so this is a deposit, so I'm going to put in the $750 here. And then I'm going to update my balance column. I'm going to use formulas for the entire balance column, all right? So I'm going to say equals $750. All right, now on November 21st, you paid your cell phone bill to Verizon for $45.90, check number 101. Okay, so we're going to use this first column here because we are writing a check. So we're going to write 101. And it is on November 21st. Okay, so here we're going to put Verizon because that's who we paid. We always put, in the transaction description column for checks, you always do put who you wrote the check to. And then I also put what it was for. You do not have to do that, but just so you know. So the question is going to be when you take the quiz on this, what do you have to do? Just make sure you put who the check is written to, okay? And this is going to be a debit. Okay, this is going to be a decrease. So we're going to write $45.90. Okay, so now to update our balance equals, we take the previous balance, which is the $750, minus the debit, $704.10. All right, on November 22nd, you received $200 from a paycheck, which was direct deposited into your account. Okay, so on this one, when we did the deposits and checks, we didn't write a deposit slip, but we do need to still record it. If you remember, we added it into our balance. Okay, and that's going to be for $200. And we increase our balance plus. So the formula there is the previous balance, the line above, the $704.10, plus the deposit amount. On November 23rd, you bought $10 worth of McDonald's with your debit card. Okay, so for this one, this is how a debit card entry looks. You just write McDonald's. And it is a debit of 10. And to update our balance equals the previous balance of $904.10 minus the debit amount. You're going to get this little caret, the green caret. What that means is the formula from here to here is inconsistent. The reason it's saying that is because here, for this formula, we did the cell above it plus the cell next to it. In this formula, we did the cell above it minus 3 cells over. So Excel tries to recognize patterns, and if you don't follow the same pattern, it will spit back like, hey, this is an error. What do you want to do? You could just ignore that in case you ever wondered what that little green arrow was. All right, on November 23rd as well, you spent $25 on gas. So this was at the Shell station. $25, a debit, equals the previous balance minus the debit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the transactions and then come back and show that to you. Okay, so here is the rest of the check register filled out. Notice on the 24th, we wrote a check, so I included the check number, and that decreased the balance. On the 26th, I made a deposit, and that increased the balance. And also on the 26th, I wrote a check. I included the check number, and it decreased the balance. And if I go through, I did use formulas for all of these cells, okay? So when we take our quiz on the checking section, which will be next week, that will be the last thing I do with you, you will not have to write a business check or do a deposit ticket. You'll just have to do a check register, okay? Now, what I want you to do on the bottom of the spreadsheet, you will see there's a second tab that says independent practice, okay? I want you to please make sure that you do that and submit it when you are done,